Welcome to Lben Tea House. I'm your host, Lben. Tonight, let us delve into the mysteries of the I Ching. In King Wen's I Ching, in the Qian Gua, there is this description. The sword dragon figuratively marks the simplicity and solidity of farmer-teacher morality, promoting the life and benefits for the people, and also symbolizes the descent of a sage. So, what exactly does this represent? Simply put, when a true dragon appears, it means that the nation will see the emergence of a great leader. In history, auspicious events related to dragons occurred before the rebellions led by great figures like Emperor Gaozu of Han, Liu Bang, and the founder of the Ming dynasty, Zhu Yuanzhang. So, when did the most widely known event of a true dragon's appearance happen in modern history? Join me tonight as we look back at the dragon falling event that took place in Yingkou, Liaoning, in the 23rd year of the Republic of China. According to the modern calendar, that year was 1934. But at that time in Yingkou, it was called the first year of Kang. Some friends might wonder, where does this Kang era originate from? As we know, the Republic of China was established in 1912, and the last emperor of the Qing dynasty abdicated, marking the end of more than 200 years of Qing rule. Initially, there was an agreement that the government would favorably treat the royal family members, allowing them to peacefully abdicate and continue residing in the palace with all living expenses provided according to the old system, and the government would give them an annual living allowance of 4 million currency units. Puyi, the last emperor, felt it was quite appropriate and agreed to these terms. So, after his abdication, he continued to live in the Forbidden City for 13 years. However, the situation changed in 1924. The warlord Feng Yuxiang stormed into Beijing and expelled Puyi, forcing him to leave the Forbidden City and lead a life of displacement, seeking asylum everywhere. Eventually, with the support of the Japanese, Puyi established Manchukuo. In 1934, Manchukuo was officially renamed as the Empire of Manchuria, the state name we referred to as Kangd. Therefore, the first year of Kangd is the first year of the establishment of the Empire of Manchuria. However, the government of the Republic of China and most people did not recognize the legitimacy of Manchukuo, so when referring to this history, they typically use Wei Manchukuo to indicate, no matter how you call it, I don't recognize it. Our story today unfolds in 1934 Yingkou, a place still familiar to us now. Speaking of the area north of Yingkou's West Market, on the banks of the Liao River, there is a place called Zide Temple. In the past, this area was relatively remote. Temples and Taoist temples were usually not built in bustling areas. Today, if you go near Zide Temple in Yingkou, you might feel that the area is surrounded by high buildings and appears very prosperous, but in reality, those buildings are not heavily populated. However, in August of 1934, Zide Temple could be described as bursting with activity and bustling with traffic. Why is that? Generally, there are two main reasons for a religious place to be bustling with visitors. The first is the presence of a revered monk or living Buddha, as with Liang Mountain's Lingyan Temple, which witnessed the emergence of Jigong, the living Buddha, or the appearance of Bodhidharma at Shaolin Temple on Mount Song. The second reason might be the occurrence of a miracle within the temple grounds, drawing people to come and worship. For instance, Famen Temple in Shanxi rose to fame only after the discovery of the Buddha Shakyamuni's finger bone relics, right? So, what exactly caused the bustling activity at Zide Temple this time? It turned out that the old goddess enshrined there had manifested a miracle. The incident happened in early July, at Tianzhuangtan, which lies 30 miles north of Yingkou. Now a small town that was merely a tiny fishing village in the past. The local people mainly depended on fishing in the Liao River for a living. In this village, there was a family with the surname Shan, whose head of the family was called Shan Yongkui, who had taken a wife from the Wang family. They were the only family in the village that did not earn a living from fishing. Why was that? Because Shan Yongkui's ancestral home was in Shandong, and in his early years, he had relied on a craft called idle talks to wander and perform all over the country. His talent attracted the attention of an orphan folk artist in Tianjin named Wang Puyi, who said of him, "This young man is really good, he talks a good game of idleness and he's very honest." Consequently, Wang took him in, allowing him to stay in Tianjin to provide accompaniment for idle talks, and at the same time learn the old Beijing drum song. Although it might seem inappropriate for a Tianjin person to teach a Shandong person the old Beijing drum song, who can be sure? Over time, not only did Shan Yongkui achieve artistic success, but he also gained the appreciation of the boss, Mr. Wang, and eventually married Mr. Wang's daughter, the aforementioned Mrs. Wang. After setting up a family, the couple had to consider how to make a living. So, our story happens in Yingkou in 1934. Some said that doing business in the district outside the government offices was quite profitable, with Japanese and Russians investing there, akin to what we now call a free trade zone. This sounded very tempting, so they decided to go and see for themselves. Thus, they went performing their art as they journeyed toward the district outside the government offices. In this way, they arrived at Tianzhuangtan. The villagers of Tianzhuangtan, seeing them carrying string instruments and hauling drums, asked with curiosity what they did. Ma Lao Shan introduced himself, saying, "Fellow villagers, we are drum history singers." The villagers, intrigued, remarked, "We've heard of drum history, it's that art form from the northeast, depicting so much sorrow and desolation, isn't it?" He replied, No. What we perform is the old Beijing drum history." Luckily, no one in the village had ever traveled far, or this might have sparked a debate, especially since their dialect was quite different from that of old Beijing. The villagers were very interested, as they had never enjoyed such an art form, and requested a performance. Shan Yangkou's wife was singing with great enthusiasm when suddenly, she stopped. The villagers, curious about what had happened, called for a doctor. Upon examination, the doctor gave them the good news: "Congratulations, your wife is pregnant." However, looking at her pulse, the pregnancy was not stable, and she needed to be particularly careful during the first 3 months. In that era, transportation was not well developed, and traveling directly to Yingkou might pose risks. Therefore, Ma Lao Shan decided to negotiate with the villagers to stay temporarily in Tianzhong Temple. See, the only couple in the village that didn't fish were the Shans. But life is full of surprises. Some people fish their whole lives and never have the experience that Shan Yangkou had by the river that morning. Shan thought about how he had always been a burden to the villagers, especially since the flood occurred 2 days ago. Fortunately, the weather was good today, and he thought he might as well help out by the river. With some luck, he could even pick up a few fish to bring back for his wife to make a nourishing soup. So he told his wife and went off to the river alone. But as he got closer to the river, the stronger the strange smell coming from the water. He sniffed, it was an overwhelming fishy scent. He was quite pleased, as fish were commonly trapped in the shallow pits along the shore after the water level had fluctuated. Given the strong fishy smell, some fish must be stuck nearby. He quickened his pace toward the river, where there were reeds in the distance. From afar, the reeds swayed in the wind, but he noticed that the surrounding vegetation was still. He pondered why the reeds were moving strangely. He thought, could it be seal pups? Seals were called sea dogs, and their fur was very valuable. In that era, some asked if seals still existed in Chinese waters. Indeed, seals were common along the coasts of the Bohai and Yellow Seas in the past, particularly a species unique to China called the spotted seal, which could grow over 6 feet long. It is said that the fat of the spotted seal has blood-purifying properties, and in ancient medicine, as recorded in Compendium of Materia Medica, a certain part of the male seal was considered a precious medicinal ingredient, indicated for treating exhaustion and kidney failure. It had miraculous effects of strengthening and reviving, even said to bring the dying back to life. Such medicinal materials were once imperial tribute, harvested annually by specific personnel for the royal household's use. Otherwise, how could one explain the prolific progeny of the emperors of the Qing dynasty? Kangxi had more than 50 children, Qianlong over 20, and even Yongzheng, who seemed less fertile, had more than 20 descendants. But now, these seals might be nearly extinct, with only about 1,000 left in the combined areas of the Yellow Sea and Bohai Sea, although the situation at the time was still tolerable. Thus, when Shan Yangkou saw the reeds moving without wind, he thought of these precious seals. With hope. A stroke of luck today, what a good opportunity. Considering this could be a chance for prosperity, he picked up a stick and made his way into the reeds. The stick served 2 purposes. First, to probe and clear the way through the reeds ahead, and second, if he indeed encountered a seal, he intended to use it for self-protection. Pleased with his fortune, he contemplated how to use the sturdy stick and continued into the reed bed. But as he ventured deeper, his feeling of unease grew. With no first-hand experience of seals, he thought, why is this noise so tremendous? It doesn't sound like cattle, it's more akin to the roar of a tiger from the circus. Clutching the stick tightly in his hand, he peered through the reeds ahead, and suddenly wondered, what on earth is in there? Just as he was about to continue forward, he discovered not seals, but 2 dragons, one black and one white, entwined with each other, their presence awe-inspiring. Shan Yangkou, Lao Shan, was extremely astonished at the display of the dragon's might, their dance akin to the turning of mountains, the earth spinning, moving in the clouds, as the world seemed to fall apart. With their mouths, they spat lightning, and where their tails swayed, the seas churned. He thought, to witness this and live is a narrow escape from great peril. He felt lucky and grasped his stick, thinking, even if I have to roll away, I must leave this place. As he was about to retreat, the white dragon's tail swept him back. At that moment, he saw the black dragon gaining the upper hand, ready to kill the little white dragon. At this critical juncture, the white dragon managed to swing its tail, propelling Lao Shan onto the seventh spike on the black dragon's back. Looking down, Lao Shan sensed a plea for help in the eyes of the white dragon, as if it was saying, I can't hold on much longer, you must save me. Having heard that a dragon's vital point is at the 7-inch spot, Lao Shan was impulsively moved to think. Today it's either danger for all three of us, or one must be sacrificed. Fighting a dragon with a stick might be unprecedented in history. With no other option, he swung the stick with all his might. The stick struck the black dragon, which let out a piercing scream. Seizing the opportunity, the white dragon flicked its tail and broke free as if unleashing thunderbolts. Then the black dragon disappeared into the water like a shadow, and Lao Shan was also flung away by the white dragon's tail. When he opened his eyes again, he saw the little white dragon bloody, barely alive in the water, and Lao Shan turned his head away, feeling indescribably complex. Surprisingly, the white dragon spoke in human language. Benefactor, please don't leave hastily. Although I am gravely injured, should there be a downpour, I can ascend to the south with the help of the rain. Lao Shan asked it why it wanted to travel south, and the dragon explained that the black dragon had intended to restore Emperor Xuantong in Xingkou, the capital of Manchukuo, to the throne, while it had been ordered to go to Nanjing to protect the nation's governance and territory. It suggested, since they had encountered each other, whether Lao Shan could help it summon rain so that it could continue its journey. The white dragon even promised that if he could help, his family's descendants would receive blessings. If the monarch I protect can bring good to the nation, your descendants will not only receive blessings but will also enjoy wealth and honor for generations. This promise was incredibly appealing, setting Lao Shan's heart aflutter. After hearing the white dragon's request, Lao Shan was at a loss. The white dragon was seriously injured, mentioning that the recent torrential rains were a result of its battles with the black dragon. Currently drained of energy and unable to summon rain, it urgently sought Lao Shan's help to travel to the Shtao temple by the bank of the Liao River in Yingkou. The temple housed deities of the sea goddess, as well as halls dedicated to the Dragon King of the Eastern Sea and the Guanyin of the Southern Sea. The white dragon requested Lao Shan to take its dragon pearl there to pray, hoping the sea goddess could grant rain to aid in completing its mission southward. With a mix of curiosity and caution, half believing and half doubting, Lao Shan inquired about the white dragon's name and learned it was called Nao Yi. With complex emotions, he picked up the dragon pearl and headed straight for Shtao Temple. Arriving there, he respectfully bowed before each deity in every hall, and in front of the sea goddess in the main hall, he recounted the entire story, including the white dragon being called Nao Yi and its current predicament. Lao Shan made his request, presenting the dragon pearl as evidence. Shortly after he finished speaking, a miracle occurred. The clear sky suddenly darkened with clouds, followed by thunderous roars. Strangely, despite the downpour outside, the temple remained completely dry. The villagers knelt and prayed in gratitude for the sea goddess's miraculous intervention. Back in Tianquantai, the village elders were already talking about seeing a dragon in the reed beds by the river. But it soon flew away. Lao Shan, aware of the full story, didn't say much, only hoping that the little white dragon would make it south smoothly. He thought, if the white dragon's mission was successful, his family might indeed prosper for generations. Even so, his descendants had already received no small favor. A few days later, sensing the right moment had come, Lao Shan bid farewell to the elders of Tianquantai and embarked on his journey to Yingkou. Upon arrival, the situation was quite unusual. It seemed the entire city's populace was rushing to Shtao Temple. He wondered if there was a lively temple fair going on. Hearing news about the dragon stirred questions within Lao Shan. The villagers told him that a dragon had recently been seen. Lao Shan thought, hadn't that dragon flown away? Yet the villagers said, it has fallen down again. This revelation shocked Lao Shan. It was said that the police had arranged the skeleton of this dragon and displayed it at the west gate of the temple. Reporters had come to cover the story, turning it into the focal point of discussion for the entire city. Filled with doubts, Lao Shan hurriedly took his wife to Shtao Temple. Upon arrival, he was stunned. The bustle of the temple fair couldn't compare to the scene before him. The complete skeleton of the dragon was displayed in the center of the venue, surrounded by wire fencing to warn people not to touch it, with quicklime spread underneath to prevent infectious diseases. There were not only photographers but also an old monk performing rituals to liberate the dragon spirit. While the crowd was excitedly spectating, Lao Shan only glanced at it before quickly leaving with his daughter-in-law. His daughter-in-law, curious, asked what he had noticed. Lao Shan said he recognized the dragon. It was not the good dragon he knew, but the black dragon that had been defeated by the good dragon. He saw the marks on its bones where he had once struck it. As time went on, the whereabouts of that dragon's bones became unknown. Lao Shan speculated that they might have been secretly transferred by the Japanese. Later that winter, Lao Shan's daughter-in-law gave birth to a son. As the era changed, Lao Shan realized that the promised wealth and honor for his generation were gone. However, his son was bright and sharp-witted. Although he did not achieve great success growing up, he made a living by telling stories. In 2012, at a venerable age, he was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award at the Peony Prize. This talented descendant, named Shan Tinfang, has thus brought our story to an end tonight. I hope everyone has enjoyed this narrative.